morning, everybody. Um, I don't know if my hat this morning is distracting that my Bruce Willis to turn around with his haircut. Well, that's not my intention yet. So I'm here to talk about General Robert E. Lee, who was the chief of general of the Confederate armies during the Civil War, and he wrote a letter to his sister, Marshall, on April the 28th, 1861, right before the war started. And he said, I quote, "With all of my devotion to the Union and the feeling of loyalty and duty of an American citizen, I have not been able to make up my mind to raise my hand against my relative, my children, my home. I have therefore resigned my commission in the Army," meaning the United States Army. Well, General Lee had a military blood running in his veins. He was a man loyal to his region. He was a man of great convictions. And he lived in a time of great contradictions also. He was born in Virginia on January 19, 1807. He was a warrior by breed. He was descendant of, he was the son of Revolutionary hero Harry Lighthorse Henry. And generally even was descendant of Robert the Bruce of Scotland, who was a warrior in his times, 100 years before he was even born. He was a West Point graduated. He was the second in his class. He was good at what he was doing. He was named commander of Confederate armies. Sorry about that. Got distracted. Okay. And he, this is what we're going to see, well, how he lost his citizenship and why, and when he surrendered, causing the end of a war. And he was later paroled. He became an educator, a college president, and then he died. All right, he graduated from honors from West Point. He was, like I said before, he was the second in his class. He was offered by President Lincoln to become, the commander of the Union Army right there before the beginning of the Civil War, and he rejected that. He didn't support the slavery and knew its end would be inevitable, and he considered slavery wrong, but he supported the preservation of the Union. I mean, it was a great calamity, and he thought that the Union should be preserved, and at the same time that the slaves should be freed. And he always had this thought that he was, that the war was not really about, the emancipation of the slaves. It had other reasons. His dedication to his native state of Virginia charted his course to become, the commander of the Southern Confederate armies. And he didn't want to, but he had to. He felt he had to accept this thing and resign as a commander, or not resign, not accept Lincoln's proposal to be, the chief of the Union armies. So it was a big contradiction, but he chose to be loyal to his state. In the spring of 1863, he invaded the North. He did a good campaign, and he won the Battle of Manassas on July 21, 1862. He continued up north, and all he could do was get up to Gettysburg, which was the final battle that lasted like 4 days, three days in 1863. and that led to the surrender of the General Lee in Appomattox, and that caused the end of a war. This is the last chart, according to an artist. You can see the clash between the North and the South depicted here. The South suffered, and as well as the North, but the South took the highest number of casualties in this battle. So generally decided to surrender. This is a depiction of the surrender at the Appomattox courthouse. After that, he became president of Washington University, today Washington and Lee University. He thought that he was, he could do something for the Union, try to, heal all this psychological and even maybe physical wounds, because becoming an educator and bringing people from the North to this college, which is in Lexington, Virginia, he had these people teaching there, trying to integrate the Southern, with the Northern people again. He died in Lexington on October the 12th, 1870. And in 1975, 105 years after he died, he was reinstated by President Gerald Ford, his citizenship and his rights that were forfeited during the Civil War. The curious thing is that this happened because all these documents shortly after he died got lost. And somebody looking at some archives in Washington, they found all these documents. They went through a process, and then they decided that General Lee should be reinstated posthumously, his rights and his citizenship. So I think General Lee is example for all these generations to come. He had to decide and be loyal to his principles. He always did what he thought he was right, and he, at the end, had this well-deserved, though late, reinstitution of his citizenship. And I want to quote again that he was a well-deserved reputation. He had has a well-deserved reputation as an officer and a gentleman. He was a man of conviction. He battled inside at a crossroads where rationality and patriotism grows. His vision, and I quote him, "With all my devotion to the Union and the feeling of loyalty and duty of an American citizen, I have not been able to make up my mind to raise my hand against my relative, my children, my home. I have therefore resigned my commission in the Army."